Hi friends, Crystal here from Homemaking on the Homestead, and today this video is all about pumpkin. I bought a 29-ounce can of pumpkin when I was at the store a while back, and I wanted to make a few things with that. I always find these things kind of fun and a little bit of a challenge because, let's face it, 29 ounces of pumpkin puree is a lot of pumpkin puree for two people to turn into all kinds of goodness. So I look at it as a challenge to see how I can use this up before it would sit in the refrigerator and just die. The first couple of recipes I showed you in a video not too long ago, so I'm going to just kind of run through those quickly. And of course, all the recipes for everything that I try, it's going to be below in the description box. And after the first two, the rest of the recipes, the other three, are all brand new recipes, with the last one on the list being my absolute favorite. And so make sure you watch to the end for that. All right, so let's go create some pumpkin goodness. The first recipe I made was pumpkin granola, and this was really good. We have been enjoying it. In fact, it's almost gone now at this point since I made it, but it's really easy to mix together. It requires a little bit of pumpkin pie spice and whatever kind of add-ins that you want, as well as obviously the pumpkin. I sweetened it with honey. I kind of mixed the liquid ingredients together and brought that to a boil, and then poured that over my oat mixture. Stirred it up really well, and then put it on a cookie sheet that I had lined with parchment paper. I let this bake in the oven. I actually can't remember right now because I'm doing this video quite a few days later, but it probably about 30-some minutes, 35 minutes, but you got to check it and stir it a couple times during the baking period just to keep an eye on it. The next recipe I did was these delicious pumpkin apple muffins, and they were super moist and super good. I highly recommend them. They are great for breakfast, a snack, or anything like that. Just really, really yummy, and very easy and quick to put together, as most muffin recipes are. At this point, I still had quite a bit of pumpkin left and decided that I would try something different and made a dinner with it. I made a pumpkin chili, and I have to say this is a pretty simple recipe to put together, and it does not necessarily taste overwhelmingly like pumpkin. I think the pumpkin actually tends to give it more of a body texture, but it really tastes good. So after cooking up my hamburger and my vegetables, I added in my can of tomatoes with green chilies. I added in a little salsa. There's a couple ingredients I didn't have, but I just kind of went with it anyway. I had cooked up my own red beans, and you can do that, or you can use canned. In the recipe below, I have measurements for both. So I added my pumpkin, my spices. I had 1 cup of chicken broth that I had in the refrigerator. I had made it a few days prior to this, and I added that in. I wasn't sure if I was going to need more liquid or not. I just kind of stirred all that together and then decided to add a half a cup of the bean broth, and then felt like it still needed a little bit more. So in total, I added 2 cups of liquid. You could easily add 2 cups of chicken broth to that if you would want, or 2 cups of just the bean broth. It's really up to you. After I got it all together, though, I let it simmer for a little while. Stirred it all up, and then got ready to serve it for dinner that night. It would be great with cornbread. I think I ended up just serving it with some tortilla chips. I was kind of running out of time, or biscuits or anything like that would be great. But very, very good. I topped it with a little bit of cheese, and we certainly enjoyed that a lot for our dinner. Now for this recipe, the first part of it isn't pumpkin yet, but it was my daughter's birthday, and I'm just making some soured milk here for this recipe, and I decided to put 2 of her favorite things together, which is chocolate and pumpkin. So the first thing I did was make a real basic chocolate cake that I have made many, many times. that was cocoa powder, and I just added some hot water to that, added that to the milk. Then I mixed up the dry ingredients. And then kind of went back and forth adding the chocolate soured milk combination and then a little bit of the flour combination. And I just kind of did that, like I said, back and forth until everything was combined and smooth. And I divided that into 24 cupcakes. After the cupcakes had cooled, I went ahead and put together this delicious cream cheese pumpkin frosting. And make sure that your cream cheese and your butter are at room temperature. That's very important in order to get these to kind of combine well and be nice and smooth. The recipe calls for 4 cups of powdered sugar, and it needs to be sifted. I kind of put it through my strainer. I have to say it was probably a little bit of a painful way to do it, so if you have a sifter or something, you could do it that way. Also, I threw my pumpkin pie spice in with the powdered sugar, and that worked really well, just to make everything, no lumps, and everything got sifted together well. And then I just started adding the powdered sugar to my cream cheese and butter, and I just did that until everything was mixed together. It took me a couple different times of just adding more and more sugar, but I did add all 4 cups. After I had most of the powdered sugar in there, I went ahead and added my pumpkin. And then just spent quite a bit of time just kind of mixing, making sure that the frosting was nice and smooth and spreadable. And then I proceeded to go ahead and frost them. Now the frosting can get a little bit soft. I think it was maybe a little bit warm in my kitchen. I don't know, but if it does get a little bit too soft to spread, it's super easy. Just stick it in the refrigerator because it's mostly just butter and cream cheese, and that will firm up pretty quickly. This was more than enough to do 2 dozen cupcakes, and in retrospect, I probably could have cut the recipe in half, but it was good, and my daughter loved it, and I took some to my son and he loved them too, so highly recommended. So after making those recipes, I was left with just a tiny bit of pumpkin puree, as you can see. Now there's a lot of options that you could do with leftover pumpkin puree. So if you have some left and you are pretty much done with pumpkin, some ideas for it is you can throw it into meatloaf, you can throw it into spaghetti sauce, you can add it to soups. There's a lot of ways to utilize it without having to throw it out. But this one was my favorite, as I absolutely love the coffee creamers around the holiday time, but the ingredients in them, it's kind of I buy them because it's kind of a treat, but at the same time I know that the ingredients in them are just really not that good for you. So I came up with a recipe that uses much better ingredients. Not perfect, but it's a better option than the store-bought, at least I think. Okay, I hope you enjoy this one. All right, to make this pumpkin pie coffee creamer, you're going to need some half and half and some sugar, and you're going to heat that on the stove, a little bit of pumpkin pie spice, and your 3 tablespoons of pumpkin puree, and a little vanilla. And you can just dump everything into your pot, whisk it together, super easy. Heat it up until it's hot enough that the sugar is all melted, and basically you're done. At that point, I put mine into a canning jar to store, and I have been using it ever since and enjoying it quite a bit. The ingredients do kind of settle, so when you go to use it after you take it out of the refrigerator, just give it a good shake. All right, you guys, thank you for watching my video. I hope that it gave you some inspiration to do your own kind of pumpkin goodness recipes, or try some of these recipes. Let me know in the comments below what some of your favorite pumpkin recipes are and what kind of things you like to make with that this time of year. All right, everybody. I will see you on my next video. Bye-bye.